Well, if I haven't had a chance to meet you, I hope to, whether you're here in the room with us or whether you're tuning in online. I'm Pastor Brian. I'm so thankful to be here tonight with each and every one of you. Now, tonight is a family service. We have an amazing kids program here at Trinity, but tonight is an all-in family service. So little noises, movements, even big noises, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. In fact, to start us off well, I actually would like to invite a couple helpers on up here. We have some gifts to pass out to the children, okay? So if you are a child in the room, okay, and if you're questioning, am I not? Probably you're not, okay? But if you are a child in the room, I want to invite you to come on forward. We've got gifts to hand out. You can just come on up, grab a gift, head back to your seat. Young kids are over here to your left. Older kids like middle school, high school, come on over here. If we happen to run out, trust me, Miss Janelle has this. We will get you gifts. Her office is like a Mary Poppins bag. There is stuff everywhere for everybody. So kids, go ahead and come on up. Again, littles over here to the left. Adults / older teens over on here to your right, my left. Go ahead and grab something here. This is a time where we celebrate, we give gifts. And so we just have something small for you. Feel free to open it whenever you get back to your seat. In fact, we encourage it. It's a great thing to keep the kids kind of connected and busy while we just have a quick message here. So we got kids coming up, right? So far, I haven't seen any adults. I mean, I've seen adults with kids, but I haven't seen any adults by themselves. That's pretty good. That's pretty good, okay. We've got a few more stragglers here. Hey, so good to see you. That's great. That's great. Is this for me? Is this for me? Do I get to open this? Hey, look what I got. That's pretty great. We got one left here. We've got one waiting over here. Look at this, the perfect amount. It's a Christmas miracle, people. It's a Christmas miracle. That's amazing. Total guesswork. God's got this. All right, now, kids, as you're playing, I'm gonna talk to the adults. You can still listen too, but I'm gonna talk, and I'm gonna share just a couple of things with you briefly. This is not our typical Sunday service. I normally am clocking 35 to 40 minutes on a sermon. 45 this past Sunday. We're gonna do something much, much shorter. But I wanna talk to you about the meaning of Advent and the meaning of Christmas. Now, there was something that happened in our world that forever changed Christmas morning. And in fact, I'm gonna argue tonight, it probably changed it for the worse. In 1982, this thing came out. The camcorder. All right, who remembers these things? Who had one? All right, now, there's a lot of great things that this does. This is the original, 1982 JVC version that came out. My family had one. Christmas morning would never be the same. There is always a dad, there's always somebody's got this thing out, and they're not just trying to capture the moment, right? Everything has to suddenly be recorded. Now, fast forward to where we are today, it doesn't quite look like this. What does it look like? Our phones. Now, here's what I want to talk about today. These things have a lot of good that they bring, but there's something more significant that we need to do than simply capturing the moments, right? Everybody knows the tension of this. You can work so hard to capture the moment that you actually miss the meaning. You don't believe me? Have you ever had the experience where you're with a group of friends and somebody wants to take a group photo, and you are through the fourth group photo being taken, and someone else goes, wait, my phone too. And then my phone, everybody just, here we are smiling, right? You can work so hard to capture the moments that you miss the meaning. Now, I'm not against doing this. We take, videos and do all this too. And in fact, there's some things that are priceless. I want to show you a clip from America's Funniest Home Videos. This is a classic Christmas fail that went viral, okay? So I know you feel a little bit bad laughing about it, but it's all in good fun here. Here's a moment that was captured.
And I'm going to show you how it works. First, you put it on here. Then you press the lock it button. That's that. And then it'll fly up in just a second. See? And then...
Oh, no!
Right into the fire, people. Right into the fire. Flutter by Fairy. I don't know if you ever saw that toy, right? Those things are great, okay? So I'm not here to say don't capture moments. But there is a problem with a very camcorder Christmas, or an iPhone if you want to do that, right? There is a problem where we are in danger of missing the meaning. So tonight, really briefly, how do we recapture the meaning of Christmas? More than just gifts, and we love that, but what can we do to come back to this place that it was meant to be? Well, this past Advent, we've been going through the book of Luke. And if you're here on a typical Sunday morning, we tend to do verse by verse, chapter by chapter. We dig into the text, right? You're going to learn the Bible if you're here. We look at the literary background, cultural backdrop, all sorts of stuff. And we really dug into it these past 4 weeks. You can catch up on YouTube if you want to watch it. But even in doing that, I want to make sure we don't miss the big idea. So tonight, I'm going to talk about a part of the Christmas story that most people kind of gloss over, and it's about angels. You know, when you think about the nativity scene, you know, your mind goes to the animals that are there, and Mary and Joseph and all these things. But in the readings that you heard tonight, angels appear over and over. And in fact, in the book of Luke, angels only appear speaking to people in these first 2 chapters. They actually don't appear in the whole rest of the book to give a message to anybody. Why? Well, let's just look at this briefly here. So the very first thing that Luke starts with is this idea, this is the big idea here, the meaning, above all the details, there is a God. In fact, the book starts this way, from Luke chapter 1. Let's look at it together. It says this: Now, while he was serving as a priest before God. Pause for a moment. That's Simeon, all right? He's an elderly priest serving at the temple. This is the beginning of the Christmas story in Luke. Now, while he was serving as priest before God, when his division was on duty, according to the custom of the priesthood, he was chosen by lot to enter the temple of the Lord and burn incense. And a whole multitude of the people were praying outside at the hour of incense. And there appeared to him an angel of the Lord standing right to the side of the altar of incense. The Bible starts with this: there is a God. Now, you know, maybe you're thinking, well, this is a church. I expect to hear that. But I want to acknowledge in the room, there's a lot of people who are going, yeah, I don't know, Brian. I'm not sure I'm really convinced of that. You know, it could be a social construct or something that we do, you know, to make ourselves feel better. The Bible actually, the Christmas story starts with this. And I don't want us to miss it. Loud and clear, there is a God. And in fact, what the angel says, that there appeared to him an angel of the Lord's. That's the New Testament's way of saying Yahweh, the one true God. That there's this messenger who comes. Did you know that's what angel means, actually? It means messenger. That there was a messenger, an angel of the Lord, came to start the Christmas story. The Bible starts with this: there is a God. But it continues: there is a God who speaks. Look at how the Christmas story continues, our story of angels. And Zechariah, this was our priest from earlier, said to the angel, "How shall I know this? For I am an old man and my wife is advanced in years." And the angel answered him, "I am Gabriel." That was the angel's name. "I stand in the presence of God, and I was sent to speak to you and to bring you this good news." Now, if you will, just tonight, maybe just even as an experiment, hold open this idea. There is a God. There is a being out there who created all things, and the Bible would name that God as good and true, righteous, loving. There is a God. And that's mind-blowing enough if you just want to start there. But to push it a little bit further, there is a God who speaks. A God who's not just content to kind of be this sort of, you know, watchmaker in the background. I set up, you know, the world, and then I just go away and I don't know what God's doing, you know, watching football or something. Right? The Bible presents that there is a God, but there's a God who speaks to the point where God sends these angels. He says, "I have a message for you." That this angel was sent specifically from the side, the throne room of God, to speak to this person. Can you imagine that? a God who created all things and concerns himself with speaking to humanity and sending these angels that way. And Zechariah said to the angel, "How shall I know this?" In the 6th month, the angel of Gabriel was sent from God to the city of Galilee named Nazareth, to a virgin betrothed to a man whose name was Joseph, of the house of David, and the virgin's name was Mary. And he came to her and said, "Greetings, O favored one. The Lord is with you." Over and over in this text, what we see, there is a God, and this God concerns himself with this older priest named Zechariah. This God concerns himself with this teen girl named Mary. And God is sending these messengers, saying, not only do I exist, but I have something to say. Over and over, the angels bring this message. So there is a God. There is a God who speaks. You know what? There's a God who speaks to us. I want to read this passage, but maybe in a little bit of a different light. You heard it read earlier. If you're familiar at all with the Christmas story, you've probably heard this before. It's about our shepherds. Look what it says. And in the same region, there were shepherds out in the field, keeping watch over their flocks by night. Now pause with me. There's a God, and God wanted to speak, so he sent an angel to an older priest. There's a God, and there's a God who wanted to speak, so he sent an angel to a teenage girl. There's a God who wants to speak, and so he sent an angel to shepherds doing the night shift. What? Okay, now today we don't really have much of a thought about shepherds. That's just kind of an idea out there. Most of us, I don't know, maybe you have. I've never actually seen a shepherd, right? The closest I've gotten was our kids' pageant we had on Sunday, right? And it's always cute. They've got the little robes on, and there's some kid as a sheep who's like sweating, in the costume and all that, right? But just to put this in perspective, culturally speaking, it was not considered a great occupation. Maybe all the way back to Abraham it was, but culture had kind of moved on from that. People were settled more in homes, and so this nomadic lifestyle, they're working the graveyard shift, they're kind of taking watches to make sure nobody comes and steals a sheep or something like that. In the middle of the night, in the middle of a field, there is a God, and he chose to speak, and he sent his messengers to speak to shepherds who were out in the field, keeping watch over their flock by night. And look at what the angel said. And the angel said to them, "Fear not, for behold," go to the next slide. "Fear not, for behold, I bring you good news of great joy that will be for all the people. For unto you is born this day in the city of David a Savior who is Christ the Lord. And this will be a sign for you. You will find a baby wrapped in swaddling clothes and lying in a manger." God sent an angel to speak to an old priest. He sent an angel to speak to a teenage girl. He sent an angel to speak to kind of the outcast of society, to announce the birth of his son. Not in the palace, not in the temple, in a field, at night. Why do you think that is? I mean, if you're going to make a big announcement here, you've got a birth announcement, you got a wedding announcement. My guess is you don't just go to a random alley in New York City and shout it out, okay? You got more of a plan than that. I think this speaks to something deep and powerful, that there is a God who speaks to us, all of us, the outcast, the ones who are without power. Consider for a moment that the family Christ came to was a lower class family, born in a manger where there was no room even for them to be in the inn. And all of this, God is speaking to us. The angel says, this is good news. This is great joy for each and every person. Not simply the elite, not simply the in crowd. From the very beginning, God has been speaking this message, sending these angels, communicating to everybody. This entire chorus of angels lighting up the sky for a handful of shepherds pulling the night shift. It's amazing. You know why I think this matters? I think this matters Because there's a lot of people who go, well, not even sure that there is a God. If he is, I don't know that he cares. Certainly, I don't know that he cares about me. Or maybe you're going, hey, I kind of used to believe that. And I don't know, fell off that faith thing a while ago. I don't know, is there still a path for me? Is there still a way for me to see the meaning of it in this Christmas? Or is that ship kind of sailed? We invited a neighbor to Christmas Eve. We just met her. Invited her and said, hey, you should come. And she said to me, she goes, wow, that'd be lovely. But I think if I walked into a church, I'd explode into a ball of flames, right? I was like, whoa, okay, God still speaks. And I actually think he speaks for all of us. Whether you see yourself as this, part of the in crowd, or whether you're going, I just came in because the doors were open and there was hot cocoa. I don't even know what I'm doing here. I believe that there's a God who speaks to all of us. And I actually believe that God still speaks to us. The book of Hebrews says it this way. Long ago, and at many times, in many ways, God spoke to our fathers by the prophets. But in these last days, he has spoken to us by his Son, whom he appointed to be heir of all things, through whom he created the world. He is the radiance of the glory of God and the exact imprint of his nature, and he upholds the universe by the words of his power. And making a purification for all sins, he has sat down at the right hand of the Majesty on high, having become as much superior to the angels as the name he inherited is more excellent than theirs. This is what Hebrews is saying. God exists. God is speaking. God has spoken through prophets. God has spoken through visions. God has sent angels. The name literally means messenger. God is speaking. And friends, that wasn't just something past. God is still speaking to each and every one of us. And he is through his Son, Jesus. Hebrews says he's the exact imprint of God. Jesus was not just a great, cultural leader, influential philosopher. What the Bible presents is that this is actually God incarnate, pre-existent for all eternity, born in a manger to a lower income family, announced only by shepherds doing the graveyard shift. But that child is the very nature of God, fully God and fully man, lives this perfect, sinless life and yet died, made this purification for sins, died not because of his own sin, but because of the sins of the world, all the brokenness we see around us, all the problems that are in us and the problems that affect us. The most famous verse in the Bible, you always see it held up at football games, says it this way: for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him will not perish but have everlasting life. See, the point of Christmas, the meaning of Christmas is more than just a series of moments. It's more than just angels. It's more than just, shepherds and a star and all that sort of thing. There's a bigger thing going on. And it's a God who is speaking and a God who still speaks. Do you know we started this service by giving gifts? Do you know why we give gifts at this time of year? Mostly capitalism, I think, is the answer, right? But there's hopefully a deeper meaning to this. That there's this reflection that goes, there is a God who not just was distant, but loved you so much that he gave the most precious gift, his one and only Son. And that if you believe in Jesus, you receive that gift, then you can experience something deep and true in this transformation. And here's what I would say. If you're going, boy, I'm not even sure, maybe I believed that as a kid. I don't know about now. I believe that God is still speaking, friends. Do you hear? Now, I started this by showing this clip, okay? The drama of the Flutter by Ferry. Okay, I promise I was going to pull this back together. This was on America's Funniest Home Videos, won the #1 prize. I don't know what the amount was. It was a lot of money. You still see it resurface. You'll see it in your algorithm, if you're scrolling through social media this time of year. I was actually friends with this family. And this went viral, okay? It went viral. And the Flutter by Ferry company contacted them and said, wow, that's so funny. We would love to send a replacement. We'll send her a new one, sort of a thing. You know what's really cool about this family? We ran a ministry that was working with international refugees in Dallas at the time, lots of refugees coming in. And the family pitched the idea, and they said, instead of sending us one, why don't you send 100, and we're gonna throw a Christmas party for the refugees. So the company actually did it. Also, fun fact, I was worried that we wouldn't have enough to hand out, so I went to Toys R Us and bought 50 more. Jeffrey the giraffe sent me a letter, and they banned me for life from Toys R Us, thinking I was reselling these goods, right? So I have been officially banned from Toys R Us, right, for this thing. But you know what was so beautiful? You know what was beautiful? To see something that was just a moment captured become something truly meaningful. To do something that reflects the very nature of God who gave. You know, in that morning when we passed out a bunch of toys to all these kids who just showed up with literally a bag, you know, from UNICEF, that's all they had. To celebrate that in that moment was amazing. So, here's my hope for each and every one of us. That Christmas, you know, time tomorrow, whether that's like the Hollywood version, you know, you wake up and there's a bunch of kids and you have your cocoa. Maybe it's just you. Maybe you're a high-profile female lawyer who's going to move to a small town and fall in love with the guy running a hardware store. I don't know what your situation is, okay? I don't know what it is. New York is losing lots of high-profile lawyers this time of year. Right? A lot of them apparently all go. Here's my prayer for you. This is my 2024 technology-informed benediction over all of us. Don't just capture the moment. Recapture the meaning. The beautiful meaning of Christmas, and whatever it looks like when you wake up. Take time to reflect on a God who speaks and who speaks to you. Father in heaven, God, I pray, would you be with each and every one of us? Help us to recapture the beautiful message of Christmas. God, may we know it in such a way that it has a gratitude that blossoms in our hearts. And Father, whatever tomorrow looks like for us, may you be at the front and center of our minds. For we ask this in the name of God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit. And all God's people said, amen.